What's up, guys? I'm back with another video today, and it is going over Michigan's projected starting offense this year. I made a one about the defensive starting lineup, and just to summarize last year's offense, it was bad. This team would have at least been a 10-win team last year, if not more, if they had a competent offense. They never really found their footing, even in their late season wins against Ohio State and Alabama. They still only scored 13 and then 19 points. There was never really a game where they looked like a threat unless it was against like Northwestern. And yes, they were very bad, but I think that this year they're going to be a lot better. They got some improvements. They got a new quarterback, and Michigan will be looking to turn one of their biggest weaknesses into a strength. The starting quarterback is kind of a no-brainer. It's Bryce Underwood. The number one ranked recruit of the 2025 class looks to be the first true freshman to start at Michigan since Tate Forcier did so in 2009. Michigan got their chips in order and were able to flip him from LSU for a hefty price of $8 million. Michigan got him for a reason, and they hope he will be a competent option at the QB position, something that they did not have the luxury of last season. The other options are Mikey Keene, a transfer from Fresno State. However, his play wasn't all that inspiring at Fresno State, and when a player's former team's fans are happy that he's gone, that probably means he's not the player that you want to start. Another option is redshirt freshman Jaden Davis, a former four-star who has potential that had enticed much of the Michigan fan base. However, if Sherrone Moore was willing to pay 7 figures for a true freshman QB, that probably means he didn't like what he saw in Jaden Davis. At running back, it will be duo of Alabama transfer Justice Haynes and redshirt freshman Jordan Marshall. It will be a 1A, 1B type of rotation in this running back room, but I think 1A goes to Justice Haynes. Haynes is a versatile running back. He has great carrying speed, and he finds the holes adequately and well. Pair that with his ability as a receiving running back in the passing game, something that Michigan has, relatively speaking, liked to integrate into their offense. He was the top running back in the transfer portal and brings an elite running threat that has been sorely missed since Blake Corum left. He's experienced and has played in some big games during his time at Alabama, and will bring a good veteran presence to the team. At running back 1B is Jordan Marshall, a guy who has scary upside, and I am super excited to see how he does. Marshall was a 4-star recruit, known for his violence and powerful running style. The coaches going back to last year have raved about how athletic he is and his performance in the gym. Do you guys kind of get the type of player he is? This is SEC type athleticism, and the coaches have liked what they've seen from him behind the scenes. But in the ReliaQuest Bowl against Alabama, we truly got to see him shine. He would powerfully and forcefully make his way to 118 yards on 23 carries and a 19-13 victory for the Maize and Blue. Mind you, this was with a quarterback who couldn't throw the forward pass, who also got hurt, forcing Sherrone Moore to put in an even worse QB than him with Alex Orji. He has monster potential, and he and Haynes will work well together. At wide receiver 1 is Indiana transfer Donovan McCulley. Michigan has lacked a true big play threat at wide receiver for years, going back to when Michigan had Nico Collins. Michigan needed a big play wide receiver with a large frame as opposed to all of the smaller, less physically imposing receivers that we have had as of late. McCulley is just that. Standing at 6'5", he has a monster deep play catching ability that helped him explode for over 600 yards 2 seasons ago on a 3-win Indiana team. His big play threat and ability to go up and get the ball on one-on-one plays, along with secure catching ability, will help him be a reliable safety valve for Bryce Underwood. He dealt with injuries that sidelined him last season, but if he stays healthy, look for him to be the primary target in the passing game. At wide receiver 2, I have true freshman Andrew Marsh. Marsh is a very highly rated 4-star, who, like McCulley, has a very enticing size and frame as a wide receiver. A guy who is top 70 in his class, and with athleticism, he can and should have the ability to hold his own and make an impact day one. I don't see an issue with him being a freshman. Michigan has always had hesitations with playing young guys. I think regardless of experience, you should play the best available player at a position, which Marsh clearly is for the thin Michigan wide receiving core. He's talented and I watched him in the All-American Bowl. He will be ready to make an impact day one. As slot wide receiver, I am penciling in Anthony Simpson. Simpson, a UMass transfer, was a more under-the-radar acquisition, and he brings production, something that has been sorely missed at Michigan for quite some time. He had 782 yards last year and is being talked about as one of the key contributors to the team this year. His experience, something needed on this team, and his great route running ability will make for a great slot wide receiver. At tight end, Michigan loses an elite talent in Colson Loveland to the NFL draft. With a limited passing game, we relied on our tight ends to make up the bulk of production in the passing game last year. And with an inexperienced QB and a questionable wide receiver room, we may have to lean on the tight end a little again this year. Enter Marlon Klein, a guy with good size at 6'6". He has decent potential. He is described as a receiving first tight end who has been good enough for Sherrone Moore to give the nod to him. Boom or bust type of guy, he also showed promise versus Alabama and Ohio State. At center is Greg Crippen. Moving on to the offensive line, at center is Greg Crippen. Crippen has been talked about for quite some time as a key centerpiece of the offensive line of the future for quite some time now, even dating back to the Joe Moore award-winning offensive lines. He was a 4-star recruit who was obviously very talented and gifted. Even though he was lurking in the shadows of an elite offensive line unit for quite some time, he stuck it out, waited his turn, and got his chance to shine last year. With all of the years of experience under his belt, expectations were high. And despite never starting prior to last season, he very much held his own at the center position. He wasn't amazing, and sure, he wasn't elite, but as a first-time starter, being solid is all you can ask for. That along with a very promising signs of improvement as the season progressed. That along with very promising signs of improvement as the season progressed has made me very comfortable with him at the center position. Especially with another year of experience under his belt and an entire offseason to get even better, there is no doubt in my mind he will still be one of the better centers in the Big Ten. And he is one of the 3 offensive linemen who Sherrone Moore has said have already been penciled in as starters. Another one of those guys will be at right tackle. His name is Andrew Sprague, a redshirt freshman who was Michigan's highest-ranked recruit of the 2024 class. Obviously, someone like him would start for us this year, regardless of whether or not he had even touched the field in his first year. But when Michigan's offensive line was thin with draft dropouts, Sprague, a freshman, got the start at right tackle versus Alabama, which is telling of how highly this coaching staff had thought of Sprague. He then proceeded to win the 2025 right tackle position in just 1 game's worth of work. Anyone to his side was free. A first-time start took NFL draft pick edge rushers out of the game. This is all I needed to say. The third player that was penciled in was left guard Giovanni El-Haladi. He was a player, like Crippen, who had been waiting his turn for a while. He got his role, and while at first he was noticeably raw, he developed nicely, and he was good enough to get a 91 overall rating in NCAA 26. He's a returning starter, one at which is most likely the best on the team. He locked into a position and is getting 2nd and 3rd team preseason Big Ten All-American votes from some sports journalists. Him at left guard is a no-brainer. At left tackle is going to be Cal Poly transfer Brady Norton. He gives me a Ladarius Henderson or Miles Hinton type of vibe, a highly acclaimed big guy in the trenches acquired from the transfer portal. Worked wonders with those guys and others in recent years, and Norton is more highly acclaimed than any O-line transfer in the Harbaugh era besides Olu Oluwatimi in 2022. He's one of the top offensive transfers that Sherrone Moore has acquired this offseason. You get where I'm going with this. He was a beast even in Division II. He allowed no sacks in 794 snaps. A proven unit on the offensive line will only add to the 3 returning starters on this front. Last and not least at right guard will be offensive tackle Evan Link. Link, like Crippen and El-Haladi, has been on the team for a while. He was the starting right tackle and went through a more noticeable growing pains than his other 2 counterparts, sure. However, he probably improved the most out of anyone and dominated Ohio State, really owning his spot at left tackle, showing his great blocking skills. He then handled a position change from right tackle to left tackle against Alabama, and still proved he has the ability to be very serviceable and possibly even more. He has great size, and he's obviously a starting caliber offensive lineman, even if it's not at his primary position. The coaches seem to agree with me too, because he has been reportedly getting offensive guard reps alongside Brady Norton and Sprague. With his talent and steady experience, I am more than confident that he will find a place along this rebuilt and veteran-filled offensive line. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. It really helps me just staying on the video. A subscription would be great. We are trying to hit maybe 1,000 by the end of the year. Like the video, it really helps a lot, and comment what I should make a video on next. And if you want to, you can check out my Michigan defensive projections video. Anyways, God bless. Peace.